Rising sharply from the waters off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan, lies an island unlike any other. To many, it looks like a massive battleship, its dense cluster of crumbling concrete buildings giving it the unmistakable silhouette of a warship cutting through the sea. This unique shape earned it the nickname Battleship Island, or Gunkanjima in Japanese. But hidden behind this imposing exterior is a story far more complex and dramatic, a story of booming industry, human ambition, and eventual desertion. Gunkanjima is located approximately 15 kilometers from the city of Nagasaki, nestled in the East China Sea. Measuring just about 480 meters long and 160 meters wide, it's a tiny speck of land compared to the mainland. Yet, throughout the early to mid-20th century, it was home to a remarkably dense and vibrant community. Its cramped streets, towering apartment blocks, and industrial facilities once housed thousands of workers and their families, all drawn to the island by the promise of coal. This story begins deep beneath the island's surface, in the coal seams that fueled Japan's rapid modernization. In the late 1800s, Japan was transforming itself from a feudal society into a burgeoning industrial power. Access to energy resources like coal was critical. In 1890, Mitsubishi Corporation leased Gunkanjima to mine the rich undersea coal deposits surrounding it. What was once a small rocky island quickly turned into a fortress of industry. As the decades passed, the island was expanded dramatically through extensive land reclamation projects. Concrete sea walls were constructed to protect the mines and buildings from typhoons and the rough seas, turning the tiny island into a man-made fortress. Narrow walkways snaked between multi-story concrete apartment buildings, tight and claustrophobic, built to house the growing population of miners, engineers, and their families. By the 1950s, over 5,000 residents lived on less than 16 acres of land, making it one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Life on Gunkanjima was harsh. The island's isolation and cramped quarters contrasted sharply with the demanding and dangerous nature of coal mining. Miners descended deep into the earth through shafts beneath the island, extracting coal that powered Japan's industries and railways. The community depended entirely on the mine, its fortunes rising and falling with the demand for coal. But industrial prosperity has its limits. Starting in the 1950s, Japan began to transition from coal to petroleum as its primary energy source. The growing availability of oil reduced the need for coal, and mines across Japan struggled to stay profitable. For Gunkanjima, this shift marked the beginning of a slow decline. The island's remote location and the crumbling infrastructure made modernizing difficult, and by the early 1970s, Mitsubishi announced that coal mining operations would cease. The closure would come as a shock to the community. One by one, residents left their homes, shutting down schools, shops, and factories. By 1974, Gunkanjima was completely deserted, left behind as a ghost island. Today, Battleship Island stands frozen in time, its brutalist concrete skeletons silent monuments to a past era. After Mitsubishi secured the lease to mine coal on Gunkanjima in the late 1800s, the island underwent a remarkable transformation. What was once a small, rocky outcrop became a bustling, industrial hub, rapidly expanding year by year. Mitsubishi invested heavily to develop the mine and the infrastructure needed to support a growing workforce. Over time, the island's land area was extended with the dumping of concrete and waste materials into the surrounding sea. This land reclamation pushed the island's usable space beyond its original boundaries, a crucial step for accommodating new buildings and facilities. The dense construction was deliberate, striving to house a growing population within the limited footprint of just 16 acres. By the early 20th century, Gunkanjima had evolved into one of the most densely populated places worldwide. At its peak in the 1950s, over 5,000 people lived and worked on this tiny island. To protect residents from the harsh radiation of the East China Sea, concrete buildings were constructed with durability in mind, designed to withstand frequent typhoons and torrential rains. These multi-story apartment blocks were tightly packed, lining narrow streets and alleyways barely wide enough for vehicles. The tough, weather-resistant materials used in construction were essential not just for safety, but also to minimize damage caused by the relentless marine environment. Life on Gunkanjima, however, was far from easy. The island's residents were overwhelmingly coal miners and their families who depended entirely on the industry for survival. The work underground was grueling and perilous. Miners descended through narrow shafts, sometimes hundreds of meters deep, extracting coal from beneath the seabed. Despite the danger, the industry provided steady employment and a sense of community for many. Schools, clinics, shops, and communal bathhouses sprang up to serve the population, creating a small but vibrant society amidst the concrete jungle. Yet, the cramped living quarters meant little privacy and constant noise from machinery and activity nearby. Safety was an ongoing concern. Mining accidents, including collapses and gas explosions, threatened lives regularly. Mitsubishi undertook efforts to improve safety standards over the years, but the risks remained an inherent part of life on the island. Moreover, the isolated nature of Gunkanjima limited emergency response times and access to medical facilities, amplifying the dangers faced by workers. Despite these challenges, Gunkanjima's coal production played a vital role in supporting Japan's economic growth through the early and mid-20th century. However, after World War II, Japan's energy landscape began to shift dramatically. The rapid rise of petroleum and natural gas as primary energy sources led to a steady decline in coal demand. By the 1960s, cheaper and more efficient fuels increasingly replaced coal, creating economic pressure on mines like those on Gunkanjima. This shift compounded existing difficulties. The island's aging infrastructure, limited space for modernization, and environmental concerns all hindered efforts to keep the mining operations viable. After years of dwindling profitability and mounting safety concerns, Mitsubishi and the Japanese government made the landmark decision to close the mine. In 1974, the coal mine ceased operation permanently. The closure marked the end of an era for Gunkanjima. When the coal mine shut down in 1974, the lifeblood of Gunkanjima dried up almost overnight. Thousands of residents who had lived, worked, and raised families on the island were forced to leave in search of new opportunities elsewhere. Schools closed their doors, shops and factories fell silent, and homes were abandoned, left to endure the corrosive salt air and typhoons without care or maintenance. Within just a few years, Gunkanjima transformed into a ghost island, its once vibrant streets and towering apartment blocks standing empty and crumbling. The rapid population decline was staggering, a direct consequence of an economy so deeply tied to a single industry. No alternative livelihoods existed on the island, and its isolation made day-to-day life untenable without the mine. Over time, nature began reclaiming the concrete structures, with plants sprouting in cracks and birds nesting in ruined homes. Yet, the island's desolation also turned it into a remarkable, if eerie, monument to Japan's industrial past. Despite the decay, Gunkanjima became a symbol of industrial heritage, a stark reminder of the nation's rapid modernization and the human stories intertwined with extractive industry. For decades, the island remained off-limits to the public due to concerns over structural safety and contamination. The ruins grew dangerously unstable, and typhoons worsened the damage each year. But interest in Gunkanjima's unique history and architecture gradually grew among historians, preservationists, and the wider public. In recent years, efforts have been made to document and preserve the site. Starting in the early 2000s, limited guided tours were introduced, allowing visitors to witness Gunkanjima's haunting atmosphere while under controlled supervision. Conservation work has focused on stabilizing key structures and promoting awareness of the island's significance. These preservation efforts balance two competing priorities: honoring and remembering the lives of those who lived and worked there, while ensuring that safety concerns prevent further harm. The government designated the island as a cultural heritage site, recognizing its value not merely as an abandoned mine, but as a testament to Japan's industrial era. Gunkanjima's inclusion on the UNESCO World Heritage Tentative List signals international recognition of its importance, but also raises questions about how best to protect such fragile ruins. Tourism has grown steadily, fueled partly by media exposure, including documentaries, films, and video games that feature the island's distinctive appearance and dramatic history. Visitors are drawn not only by curiosity, but also by a desire to understand the human costs of industrialization. Yet, the future of Gunkanjima remains uncertain. The island structures continue to deteriorate, and safety concerns restrict access. Experts debate the extent to which preservation should prioritize restoration versus allowing natural decay. Some argue that excessive intervention might erase the island's authentic atmosphere, while others stress that without ongoing maintenance, it may be lost entirely. Additionally, the island presents challenges in balancing tourism with conservation, as increased foot traffic risks further damage. The story of Gunkanjima serves as a powerful symbol in public memory, reflecting Japan's rapid economic rise, the human toll of industrial progress, and the impermanence of even the most formidable man-made environments.